Hey, ladies and gentlemen, could you have your seats, please? I'll call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. And welcome to our Planning Commission meeting, November 12. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call roll?
Commissioner Knighton?
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez is absent. Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Vice Chair Holler?
Here.
Chair Madrid?
Here. Can I call Ryan? Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you all. So I see there are no presentations tonight?
That is correct. No presentations.
Okay. Madam Chair, are there any other modifications on the agenda?
No modifications to the agenda.
Okay, so can I ask the Planning Commission for an all in favor to approve the agenda, please?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, the agenda is approved. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
There are none, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chair. IT, can I please get assistance? My computer just shut off.
Oh, that's not on the agenda. Okay. Wow. Got a lot of interested people out there. Huh? Good to see you all. Got it? So that came through the agenda, the approval?
Correct. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, Madam Chair, no requests to speak. Are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items? No? You said no. Okay. What did I say? Oh, I did? Okay. All right, this takes us to item 7. There is one set of minutes for the Planning Commission's approval. Does the Planning Commission have any modifications? I have a no. Okay. Could I ask the Planning Commission for an all in favor to approve the October 22nd, 2025 minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Hearing none. Proposals, the minutes are approved. Okay. Could you confirm, Madam Clerk, there are no consent calendar items?
That is correct.
Okay. So before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to briefly explain the procedures. Following the staff presentation and any questions from the commission, I will open the public hearing. The applicant will then have an opportunity to speak, followed by members of the audience who wish to address the commission. Each speaker will be given up to 3 uninterrupted minutes to provide their comments. Please note that the commission will not be able to respond to comments or questions posed during the public comment portion, but may raise questions or issues with the staff or the applicant after the public hearing is closed. So that takes us to item 9.1, the Trumbull-Watson Warehouse. This item has been, we're not going to hear this item tonight. It's going to be rescheduled. So if there's anyone here for this project that'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to do that right now.
Chair, I just want to clarify that because we are not, well, our recommended item, action is to continue the public hearing to a date certain, which is December 10th, 2025.
Yes.
We will not be taking public comment regarding the item itself, but if there are any public comments relating to the recommended action, which is to continue the public hearing to a date certain, they are welcome to make comments about that. Thank you.
Okay, does everyone understand that then? No comments to be made? Okay, so we'll see you on the date certain meeting. Yeah, so it'll be December 10th.
Chair, we do need a vote on that, a first and a second and a vote.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we'll do a verbal for that, please, Chair.
So what's that's gonna be moved to a date certain?
Yeah, so the motion would be to move the public hearing for item 9.1, the Trumbull Watson Warehouse, to December 10th, 2025.
Okay.
So can we get a motion and a second on that,
So
please?
moved. Second. All in favor, right? Aye. It's a verbal.
Nothing coming up. Aye.
Okay. Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Now we'll see you December 10th. Okay. Okay, then we're moving right on to item 9.2, the PEMCOR Business Park. Could the Community Development Director, Orlando, please introduce the item?
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, the planner that has been working on the project, Russell Brown, wasn't able to be here today, but Brandon Cleary has stepped up and he's going to assist us with the presentation today.
Thank you, Orlando. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. IT, can I get, thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The project before you is the Menifee Business Park, plot plan number PLN 23-0245. The project is located approximately halfway between Scott Road and Keller Road, east of Howard Way and west of Ziders Road and the Interstate 215 freeway. The general plan and zoning designation for the project site is Economic Development Corridor Southern Gateway. The project site is surrounded by additional Economic Development Corridor Southern Gateway zone properties to the north, south, and east, along with rural residential 2-acre minimum to the west. The project proposes commercial industrial business park consisting of 11 buildings ranging from 23,000 square feet to 37,800 square feet for a total of 337,770 square feet. The project also includes 677 parking spaces and 22 truck docks. The original design proposed by the project included 6 buildings. However, in collaboration with the applicant, the project was amended to include 11 buildings to encourage industrial and manufacturing uses, to service and office uses versus general warehousing, which is not an allowed use in the Southern Gateway. The 2 buildings along Ziders Road are intended to be service commercial-oriented uses. Access to the project site will be from Ziders Road. A car-only access point will be along the frontage in the middle, where the green arrow is located. And a combined truck and car entrance will be located at the southern end of the project site, which is a shared access to future development to the south. There is also a traffic signal at the southern entrance. Regional project access will be along the 215 via Scott Road, which is a designated truck route. Public improvements for the project include the Ziders frontage and Howard frontage to the west. The Howard frontage may be an in lieu payment versus the actual construction due to the status of Howard Road being a entirely dirt road all the way up to Scott Road. In addition, there will be fair share cost participation for off-site intersection improvements. Approximately 116,000 square feet of landscaping is included throughout the project site, which includes larger 24 and 36-inch box trees at the perimeter and larger 60-inch box trees at the primary entrance at the middle on Ziders Road. The landscaping along the western boundary also acts as a buffer to the nearby residential. In addition to the increased tree sizes at the primary entry is the inclusion of landscaping, decorative paving, benches, and tables in the paseos between 9 of the buildings for employee use. Due to concerns regarding screening for nearby residential, the applicant proposes a 6-foot-tall block wall along the western project boundary, along with a row of bushes at the northwest corner of the project site to screen for the existing residential near the northwest corner of the project. That row of bushes will screen the vehicles in the parking lot and their headlights. The proposed architecture is consistent with the City of Menifee design guidelines and is similar building types throughout the city. The buildings include white and gray wall offsets, porcelain tile with wooden appearance, concrete eyebrow on the prominent corners along Ziders Road, so the 2 buildings that front the project on Ziders Road, along with glazing and tube steel canopies above windows. The buildings will be approximately 38 to 40 feet tall and include truck courts that are cut into the building to screen for public view. And as you can see in the bottom left corner elevation, the truck court is built into the design of the buildings, which will help screen against noise and provide better aesthetics so you don't see the truck court from the public portions of the project site. The city prepared an environmental impact report with mitigation measures required for air quality, biology, hazards and hazardous materials, noise, and greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases did have a significant and unavoidable impact. During the 45-day EAR public review period, which was September 2nd through October 16th of this year, comment letters were received from the listed agencies, organizations, and residents. The public hearing and final environmental impact report was published on November 2nd with responses to the comment letters sent out on October 31st. Staff determined that no new information or substantial evidence provided by the commenters warranted any changes to the environmental impact report. Staff also received additional comment letters from Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance and SAFER, which are located in your blue folder, along with a memo addressing the comments. With this, staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution certifying the final environmental impact report, adopt the findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations and MMRP, and direct staff to file a notice of determination, and adopt the resolution approving plot plan number PLN 23-0245 for the Menifee Business Park project. This concludes staff's presentation. We also have our consultant and the applicant here and are available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Associate Planner Brandon Cleary. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for staff? No discussion, just questions. Ivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question for our city attorney, Madam City Attorney. We've seen 3, I think, letters today in the packet, and the letters assert that the final EIR is deficient. I did hear what the Associate Planner said in the presentation, but I just want to make sure, in your opinion, are we able to rely on that document this evening?
Yes, it is my opinion as well as our consultant's opinion that the EIR is fully sufficient and meets the requirements of CEQA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Michael?
Yeah, that was my question also.
Too. So there's nothing legal that we need to that matters for us to make our decision of approving this project tonight or not. Is that correct?
Well, you will still have to make the findings as required for the resolutions. But as to the issues brought up in those letters, I believe that they are addressed in the final EIR, the staff report, and all of the supporting documents that are available to the public.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Ivan, go ahead.
And just, I believe I know the answer, but for Director Hernandez, so the override is for greenhouse gas, so that's the only override that we would be considering this evening.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Thomas, no questions?
No questions.
And nor do I. Okay, good job, planner. Okay, I'll open the public hearing at 6:15 PM. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that the item was legally noticed and if any correspondence has been received?
Yes, it was legally noticed, and the correspondence is included in your folders.
Just so the audience knows, the public knows, we received these comments probably today, and they're addressed to the staff, and then staff make sure we address these comments. So we're not ignoring them at all. Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to invite the applicant to the podium to speak.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. My name is Paul Mayer. I'm representing Pemcor Properties, the developer of the proposed project.
Good evening, thank you.
I think staff did a pretty good job of explaining the general nature of the project. Brandon did alert us to a couple of comments that were received during one-on-one meetings with members of the commission. One in particular pertained to the amount of glazing or glass on the fronts of the buildings facing Ziders. And our project architect is here this evening, and after conferring with him, we've increased or changed the design to increase the amount of glass by 6 more feet of glazing at the top of it. So it'll have I think a really significant impact in terms of the visual effect facing Ziders, which of course is the most prominent elevation. I'd also be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank staff. They've been very good to work with. As you know, these are long, complicated processes, and you know, they've been very cooperative, and we've had a good working relationship throughout. I don't excuse me, I don't want to use too much of your time, but I would mention that we've also, speaking towards the design and the general theme of the project, we've tried to be sensitive to the objectives of the Southern Gateway Initiative. The initial concept for the project was larger buildings, and in working with staff, we significantly scaled the size of the buildings down to try and create more of a campus kind of environment or feel. And we spent quite a bit of time going back and forth, again, speaking to the architecture, just trying to make it, again, reinforce that campus kind of character and convey the kind of image that we believe the city's seeking with the Southern Gateway Initiative. We think the project will be a great asset. It's obviously, with the smaller buildings, it's oriented to smaller business and on local entrepreneurs, and maybe incubator space for companies that will ultimately grow and become larger corporate citizens. But we do feel that we've made a sincere effort to create a project that will be an asset for the community and for the business community. With that, I would just invite you, if you have any questions. I don't want to go on with a long
I do have a question, if that's okay? Sure. So you've got the smaller buildings. I noticed that they're like, you know, together in sections. So are they going to be built so that, say, a company needs 30,000 square feet, are they just going to be a shell, or are you going to build them as 215s and you'd have to tear down a wall? Or are you gonna leave them as a shell?
Well, we're going to have that flexibility, but rather than creating it from the outset, we'll have a 30,000-foot building that can be demised if somebody wants less space.
Okay.
And that's the case with all the buildings. They're all demisable.
Ivan? Michael?
Thank you for the additional glazing. Ty, is that included in the conditions? Or has that been?
It's not currently included, however, we can add a condition of approval that requires that of the applicant.
Okay, thank you. I saw on one of the pages, this is gonna be phased, phase 1, 2, and 3.
That's, I think,
Well, what kind of time between phases? Are you gonna build the whole thing at once? Are
well,
you gonna lease it as separate phases? How's that gonna work?
well, we're hoping, our objective is to roll right from one phase and then commence the next phase and then commence the third phase. But, you know, it will be dictated to some extent by market reception.
And Pemcor is the owner?
Yes.
And do they plan on selling the project after it's built? Or are they gonna be long-term leases?
Well, we're actually building it with the idea of having commercial condominium space, so the units will be available to purchase if owner users want to own their own space, but of course, they'll also be able to be leased.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you, in addition to the glazing, you were patient enough, and you did change it considerably from the par. And that didn't take too long for you and the city to, or the staff to whether you had it in May, and then you ended up getting approval in December, 94. So that was, good job, thank you. Good. Commissioners, any other questions? No, okay. Thank you very much. Does the Planning Commission have any other questions of the applicant? No, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions to speak, or would anyone in the audience like to make a public comment?
I do have one request to speak. I have Chase.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, honorable planning commissioners. My name is Chase Preciado from the law firm Lizzo Jury, here on behalf of Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the commission refrain from approving the project tonight. Instead, the commission should continue this item until the EIR is revised to comply with the requirements of CEQA. The EIR concluded that greenhouse gas impacts would be significant and unavoidable. However, the EIR fails to apply all feasible mitigation measures for this significant and unavoidable impact as required by CEQA. There are ample additional feasible mitigation measures that can be applied to this project. For example, the EIR currently requires only 15% of the rooftops to have solar panels. The city should increase that percentage to the maximum extent feasible. Additionally, there are numerous feasible mitigation measures recommended by the California Attorney General, including limiting truck idling time to 3 minutes instead of the 5 minutes currently required by the EIR, requiring all on-site operational equipment to be zero emission, and requiring all emergency generators to be powered by a non-diesel fuel. The EIR must be revised to include these feasible mitigation measures or otherwise justify why these additional measures are infeasible. Also, the EIR makes several references to a transportation assessment prepared in 2025. No such report was included in the EIR's appendices. The Commission should not approve this project until the 2025 report is made available to the Commission and the public. For those reasons, SAFER again requests that the Commission not approve the project tonight and instead continue this item until the EIR is brought into compliance with CEQA. Thank you.
Thank you, Chase. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Madam Clerk, no other written, okay.
I have no other comments.
Okay, thank you. Therefore, I will close the public hearing at 6:24 p.m. Does the Planning Commission have any other comments or discussion? Ivan? No? Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Knighton?
Nope.
Okay. There are two recommended actions for the commissioner's consideration. To adopt a resolution certifying an EIR for the project, business park project, and adopt an MMRP. Are we going to vote on these together or separately? Okay. And adopt a resolution approving plot plan number PLN 23-0245. Can I get a motion and a second to adopt the staff's
I'll
recommendation?
second. Never mind. Sorry. That's okay.
Okay. That was fast. Okay. The item is passed. And thank you very much for your,
Make one
Comments?
comment while we're finalizing this. I'm glad these are going in. This is exactly what we need in this city. I've had several business people over the years contact me about needing these smaller type of spaces there. So I'm glad that these are going in.
thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Okay. So that moves us to item 9.3, Cypress Sands residential project. This is item 9.3. Could the Community Development Director, Director Hernandez, please introduce the project?
Thank you, Chair. As you know, back to back, we have projects that involve state density bonus law. So this is another project. We haven't had any since I've been here, and all of a sudden we have back-to-back projects. So this one is going to be presented by Ryan Fowler.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's Ryan Fowler, Principal Planner. I'm here presenting to you the Cypress Sands residential projects tonight. It's PLN 240136. That's a tentative track map. And the other piece of this application is PLN 240137. That's for the plot plan. So the project is approximately 1 mile to the east from the I-215, and it's north of McCall Boulevard, south of Chambers Avenue, east of Chatham, and west of Antelope. You can see to the north is that Legato specific plan project under construction. To the east and to the south is vacant land, and to the west is some existing single-family residential homes. And it's close, you can see in this image, to the east is the hospital there. As far as general plan and zoning, the general plan is 8 to 14 dwelling units per acre residential. And to the east and to the south is that economic development corridor, McCall Boulevard subarea. And to the west is 5 to 8 dwelling units per acre residential. To the north, again, is that specific plan, the Legato specific plan. And it's zoned medium density residential. So I believe, same as last week, or last Planning Commission hearing, this item is a Senate Bill 330 project. So the project applied for that Senate Bill 330 application on April 3rd, 2024. So what that does, just as a refresher, is it expedites some of the development processes, and then it also freezes fees that were in place on that April 3rd, 2024. Of course, if there's any CPI escalators that are built into ours, which there are, those still apply. The project would then vest if it is approved tonight, and that vesting lasts for 2.5 years. They have to begin construction within that period for those same April 3rd, 2024 fees to hold.
Ryan, can I ask a clarification on that? So we're saying their fees are frozen, but you're saying the CPI still applies?
Yeah, so the current fee study that we did applies, but in those fees every year, it goes up by an escalator. Those still apply. Now, when this comes into play is if we were to go and do a full-on
Another
diff
study?
Yeah, diff
Okay.
study, that would not.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then again, as Community Development Director mentioned, this is a state density bonus law. What they are doing is they're proposing a 5% minimum of very low income units. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And that affords them that 20% density bonus. I'll get into that a little bit more, explain it further. So again, this is a tentative tract map and plot plan. The tentative tract map is a condo map. It's on 8.15 adjusted gross acres. There's 132 units, and that comes out to a 16.2. So as I mentioned, the general plan designation for this is 8 to 14, so they're getting to that 16.2 via the density bonus. It has the one open plan rec area you can see in the middle lower portion, and then there's 295 total parking spaces. Little refresher on the state density bonus law. So this was enacted in 1979, so it's been with us a little while. It allows for development to exceed that general plan max density. In this case, like I said, the 5% of very low income units gets them the 20% density bonus. And the way those are constructed is they, during post-entitlement, final engineering, they would designate where those units would be. Planning staff would ensure that they are scattered throughout because that is in their conditions. And then they'll have similar features and finishes as all the other units. So from the outside, you won't be able to tell. And just below at the bottom is the calculation, just kind of the math showing how we came up to what they're allowed. So they're allowed the 136 at the very bottom, 0.92 dwelling units, and they're asking for 132. So a few short of the max they're allowed with a 20% bonus. And they have to supply the 6 dwelling units required. That is the 5%. That's what it comes out to, is 6 dwelling units. As far as their access, so on the north end, on Chambers, there is a right-in, right-out, and just one correction. I know in the staff report there was a mention of it being emergency vehicle-only access. That isn't correct. It is only a right-in, right-out, but any type of vehicle can enter through that. And then off of Tioga, which is the south road on the bottom there, that is full access. And then I mentioned 295 total parking spaces. So that's divided into the garage parking. Each unit gets 2. That comes out to 264. And then there's 31 guest parking spaces, and those are kind of distributed throughout the site plan. It's got 20% of the site is designated or shown as open space / landscaping. That's going to be maintained, the on-site landscaping is going to be maintained by the HOA, and then any landscaping in the public right-of-way would be by the Community Facilities District, the CFD. There's a total of 115 total trees proposed. There'd be a mix of 60, 36, and 24-inch box trees. So they stepped up in terms of the sizing of those above our minimum.
Good question. The northeast corner, is that a park or is that a basin?
The northwest corner?
Northwest part.
Yeah, that's a basin.
Okay, and the basin's not counting towards open space, is it?
Yes, it is part of that open space.
So is
it
it
is
going to be a
landscaped.
park functional open space, park functional basin type of thing where?
No, it's not. It's function for water quality.
So how can it be counted as open space? I mean,
Oh, look at I believe the minimum on this, I have to go refresh and I can look that up. But I believe they're well above the minimum. I'd have to double check real quick.
so the definition of open space includes basins are considered open space?
Right. Mhm.
Typically, if I may, Commissioner Thomas, typically, when it comes to landscape percentage,
Okay.
there's a minimum required that they have to comply with code. In this case, open space, it does include the basin, but obviously that's not counted as part of their landscaping requirement. So this is above and beyond, and this number just shows kind of like the overall number.
Okay, so
for
I
the
guess,
entire
I
site.
guess when I hear the word open space, I'm thinking of Quimby and Park and things like that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the case for
Okay.
the detention basin.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, and another feature of this project is there is a linear landscape paseo that runs as kind of a spine north to south through the center of the project, and that provides a walkway and a quicker connection to the open space, the pocket park here that's shown here. 70 by 90 feet. It's open turf, large shade trees, and a picnic area. And then also throughout all of the crossings of drive aisles are shown with decorative paving as well. This is a unique project in that it's one of the first to come before you that is within the very high fire severity zones according to the new 2025 state mapping. And it had to submit and gain approval of a fuel mod plan as well as a fuel protection plan, a fire protection plan. And so you'll see there's various zones here that are shown in this fuel mod plan that they had approved through fire. Within that, the closest shown in red is that 0 to 5 foot area that's immediately adjacent to buildings. And then as it goes out, the restrictions obviously become less, but very close to the buildings in that red, that's the zone 0. And then within there, there is 0 combustibles that can be placed there or installed there. So no wood, obviously, but no plantings, no mulch. So the city met with our fire department, our landscape consultant. We met with the applicants and their fuel protection plan and fuel mod preparer, as well as their landscape architect to come up with some kind of creative solutions so that way in front of the homes, it would not appear stark and kind of cold because of the lack of vegetations within that 0 to 5 foot zone. So what they presented, their landscape architect came up with some illustrative plans, kind of a menu of potential decor that could be put in front of the home, so that way when the final landscape plans and the final engineering comes through, the planner would look at against these illustrative plans to make sure that we've gotten some of these features in front of the home. So they did provide some renderings, and I'll show that on the next couple slides. So they presented some garden sculptures made of steel and ceramic, obviously no wood or plastic, pots and urns, as well as some large river rocks, large boulders, more pavers, more metal wall art, and ceramic fountains, all non-combustibles. So here's a rendering. I have 4 renderings. Here's the first 2 showing kind of how that would look in front of the homes. Instead of just being the plain concrete, you would have those river rocks, some of the pots, the metal or ceramic accents like the plants and fountains and art. Here's another 2 to show examples. And then here's looking down the drive aisle. So a couple things that this doesn't include that I think are worth noting is that there is the decorative walkways that cross the street that will also be in there, that you'll also see that'll break up that the roadway, the monotony of the asphalt, and then in the background there will also be trees that are not shown in that image, but some of the pots provide some of that verticality and the texture from the pavers of the walkways and the river rock, kind of break that up as well. So the project is proposing 3 different kinds of building types. There's a building A, a building B, and a building C. It's a 6-plex, a 7-plex, and an 8-plex. Here I'm showing you one example. It's building A, and this is their Spanish style building. And what that includes is some S-tile roofing, decorative gable accents, corbels, your metal awnings, the Juliet balconies, shutters, metal pot shelves, and arched window frames. Their second type is the bungalows, which has the flat tile roofs, resawn wood, the lap siding, the board and batten, trellis awning shutters, wood pot shelves.
Ryan, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So we have the fuel mod zone, extreme fuel mod zone on the garage side, but on the walking alley side, the front, is there gonna be plants allowed? Because all these elevations, front and back, are showing plants, but obviously you've shown us the rears or
Yeah.
the parking, the garage sides, you have elevations showing just rock and ceramic and stuff. But are the fronts gonna allow to have plants?
So
Or actually calling it rear, that's the walkable alley side, right?
right, so the bottom is what I was showing before of the fronts, where the drive aisle is, where the garages are. Yes, it is showing some small shrubs. This was done before the state mapping came out, so that's why it wasn't revised with removing those bushes, but those won't be there, and its place of that will be the pots. Now, on the back side, that's in the private backyards. Next to, so you're gonna have about, 10, I believe it's like 10 or so feet of backyard in between from the home to the fence line. For the first 5 feet, you obviously couldn't put anything, so it'd have to be just like pavers or flat work. Now, next to the fence, you could, because that would be further than the 5 feet. You couldn't put trees because of the fire restrictions, but you could put some tall shrubs or.
So on the rears here, each of these, we're seeing them as if there's no fencing, but there is gonna be vinyl
Yes.
fencing?
Yes.
And it's like 5 foot, is it 5 foot fencing?
It'd be 6 foot standard.
6 foot vinyl fencing, solid.
So one correction of that, there will not be vinyl fencing because of those fire requirements. So because those came about, there'll be either a
metal.
CMU, like masonry unit with a decorative cap, or it'll be a metal product. There's a lot of new metal products that are out there now that look a lot like the vinyl.
Okay.
And I do have a picture of one if you need it.
And how big will those, quote, backyards or patios be?
I put, it was in the staff report, I think it's about, I don't know if the applicant could answer that, but I think it is, it's like 10 by,
10 by
yeah,
20?
Tim, yeah, it was 9, a depth of 9 to 20 feet and width of 24 to 27 feet.
Okay, and they'll probably have, will it have like a step-out cement pad and then it'll have dirt? Or what will they have?
I don't think we've gotten quite that far because it's
Okay.
conceptual at this stage.
I'm just
But-
thinking, because I've seen some other products like this and how they work. I'm just trying to visualize how it'll function. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we do like the final landscape plans. But yeah, I'm envisioning for the first portion next to the home, it won't be any plantings, and it'll all be flat work, hardscape.
Other question, so are these two-story units, each unit's two-story, or is one story below and then another unit's on top? Or these are all two-story?
They're all two-story.
All two-story, okay.
Okay, and here's just the last one is the cottage style. So that similar, I mean, it has the flat tile roof, the shutters, the corbels, the stucco, the sloped stucco sills up to the windows, the resawn wood, stove and veneer, and yes, those the 3 that they're proposing. Now, they're also proposing here the wall and fence plan. I did mention the swap out here on the vinyl fence, so the orange lines will now be either the CMU type of product or a metal fencing, but around the entire perimeter, they'll be installing 6-foot perimeter split-face decorative walls. And around the base end will be more of the tubular steel. Now, this project did have prepared initial study, mitigated negative declaration. It found that there was no significant effect on the environment, and staff recommends adoption of that ISMND. It went out for a 30-day review, public review, from October 5th to November 4th of this year. And there is a MMRP, a Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, that's part of the staff report package. We did receive one comment. You should have it in your file from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And in that memo, we respond to each of one of their comments. We don't feel like there is a need to recirculate that ISMND. It did recommend a couple of pre-construction surveys, one for burrowing owl and one for a new species, the crutch bumblebee. Those will be put into the conditions of approval, and they're provided in your package. So we already did have the burrowing owl pre-con survey, but it's just some rewording of that condition.
One additional question for you. So they're really getting hit by the fuel mod stuff here, by the new maps, right? It's the maps. Is the project to the north in the same map?
That
the
one would
large one.
already, are you talking about Legato?
Yeah,
I believe it's already vested. That one's already vested, so.
they don't have to change anything on the maps.
I think August 1st was the cutoff.
Okay.
So, yes, so that project is vested, but if there are sometimes there are even the building standards have been delayed, so it probably won't have the same requirements as this one.
Okay, and so at this time, staff recommends adopt a resolution adopting an initial study mitigated negative declaration, and adopt a resolution approving tentative track map number 39364 and plot plan PLN 24-0137, subject to the findings and conditions of approval. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Good job, Ryan. Thank you, Principal Planner Ryan Fowler. Does the Planning Commission have any more questions for staff? Ivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to confirm, Madam City Attorney, I did look at the letter from CDF&W. They raised a few issues, including riparian resources and potential impacts downstream of that. Certainly the burrowing owls, I assume there were surveys done before, but on the crotches, bumblebee, they raised issues there. So is there anything that would prevent us from relying on the MND? They haven't reached a fair argument here, and we can respond, or the city can respond to all of those concerns by either including conditions or items in the mitigation monitoring report. That is a question, even though it sounded like a statement.
We believe that all the analysis that's done by the city and their consultants is adequate to address the concerns raised by the Department of Fish and Wildlife. With the modifications to the conditions, yes.
Not really the errata, but with the additions that I see in the memo here, which I think includes additions to the MMR, probably more than anything else. Can I make one other statement at this point in time?
Yes,
so
please.
This is obviously this is a density bonus project. These do bring
My
challenges.
apologies.
What's that?
My apologies, Commissioner. I just want to confirm, this is questions for staff because that's all.
That's
He's looking at
that's
you,
where I'm
he's
heading.
talking to him.
So it's a density bonus project. There are things that I find challenging, even though from a fire perspective, I see our fire marshal in the back of the room. I assume have been adequately addressed. So the 25-foot road width with a parking prohibition, I mean, that seems like the minimum when you can put down the outriggers and unbed the ladder safely. So that's a concern, making it around the corners. The general circulation, where you'd have to zigzag through the project. You could go up the left side, but not the right side. You got to go zigzag through that. I just want to make sure that all of those things have been addressed because these are private roads. I don't know how the parking prohibition is going to be enforced. And that could really present a problem for a first responder, along with how these items are entered, Madam Fire Marshal, in CAD. So that's my question.
Thank you, Sonia.
Did I do okay, Counselor?
All right. Well, good evening, Chair, and good evening, Planning Commissioners. Yes, you did address on the last time we spoke about some of those turn radiuses within the project. And I will assure that they do meet our proper turning radiuses throughout the project. The 24 is our minimum for the fire access road, in which that project does have the minimum requirements. It can either be posted to ensure that maybe that there's no parking, or to ensure that we're not being restricted by parking. We do have signage that can be placed in there every 50 feet. There's some signage that clearly dedicates it to be a fire access road. There's other options if we painted it red for the red curbing to ensure with the CVC codes, to ensure that the parking is enforced within that development as well. So I don't think we've reached that point, but those are conditions for that project to ensure the fire access road is available.
So that would be, I guess, one of the concerns is how do those get enforced? If somebody parks in the roadway and you have to get in, that obviously is a problem. These are private roads, so Menifee PD is not going to go in there and enforce that. So how does that work?
Part of it is most likely there will be red. There will be red painted to prohibit parking. To HOA, I believe also they do enforce that as well. But again, it's mainly the signage and the red curbing on site.
And Commissioner, one of our conditions of approval does require homeowners association. So that's the way to enforce it.
So Sonia, when that happens, you don't have time, do you just bulldoze them out of the way?
You've seen it happen already.
Yeah, so you just
No.
can't wait for a tow truck.
Yeah, it would be the tow truck, but to easily maneuver through there adequately, one of the engines that we do have, or the truck that we have in that matter, is 12 feet. So, I mean, you could maneuver through there. Now, if you needed to do aerial apparatus and you're throwing the outriggers out in that area, then maybe. But I think at that point, we would already have it cleared or relocated by tow truck. And again, those HOA is responsible to adhere to those fire conditions and those regulations towards parking.
Michael, you have a question?
Sonia, this project, standard 2-story homes, you wouldn't necessarily need a ladder truck in there unless it was the next available apparatus being dispatched. If there was a 2-story fire, you can just do it with a regular engine, correct?
Yes, you could, but just depending on what's the available resources.
Availability.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't need special apparatus to fight a fire in a project like this.
Again, it would be the available resource that's available around.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are always ready, so. Or you wouldn't approve this if you didn't believe it would work. So.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Chris, you have questions?
I have comments.
All right, thank you, Sonia.
I got one question for Ryan.
Okay.
What's the width of each of these homes?
Given that it's 24 to 27 for the backyards and they are attached, they're within that range, 24
Okay.
to 27.
When I first heard about this project, I was thinking row homes. My first thought was like Full House, San Francisco, these tight little things that are only like 12 feet wide. So it's nice that the garage is there, and they do have a little bit extra width. These to me are more like condos or townhomes rather than size-wise, width-wise, rather than, so, thank you.
Ivan, you have any questions? You good? I will later. Okay. So, looks like we have no more questions, so I'll open the public hearing at 6:53 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that this item was legally noticed and if any correspondence has been received?
Yes, it was legally noticed and the correspondence is in your folders.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite the applicant to the podium to speak.
We have that presentation.
Yes, if IT could pull up the other 9.3 PDF.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm just going to get this presentation up and
Could you please state your name?
Yes, my name is James Walters with Fairbrook Communities
Thank you, James.
on behalf of the applicant. This project is Cypress Sands. It's 132 townhomes that will be offered for sale, and it's a community that's designed for entry-level ownership where families launch their legacy. It's located at the southwest corner of Antelope Road and Chambers. And the project is aiming to be a family community where we're offering 3 bedrooms plus a loft and 4-bedroom family-size units. If approved tonight, we're targeting permits in the third quarter of 2026 and first occupancy later in 2027. As you can see at the bottom diagram there, we're fully constructing Tioga Lane. That's at no cost to the city, part of our conditions of approval. And we'll go to the next slide and walk you through why this project works for families, for safety, and for the city. Our vision is simple. It's to deliver attainable, family-sized and family-focused homeownership in Menifee. Looking for 3 and 4-bedroom units for younger families, first-time home buyers. Everything comes standard with a 2-car garage. We've featured work-from-home nooks in every single one of the units. We believe that work from home culture is probably here to stay and is a necessary component, especially for young professionals and all professionals for that matter. The aim of this community is to make our ownership costs and HOA burden as low as possible. And so we have minimize those as much as possible while still preserving the quality and aesthetics of the community. So if we could go to the next page. Just wanted to touch on the housing progress thus far. This was pulled from the California Housing Community Development website. It's their data dashboard, and what it explains is the current permits that have been issued in the RENA number allocation categories. This project offers 6 very low income units. Currently in the city of Menifee, you'll see it at the sort of top right of the graph, 6 very low income permits have been issued of the allotted 1,761 permits. So that's 0.3% attained, and with this project, with 1 vote, 1 approval, we can double that number and provide a total of 12 very low income units. It's not about meeting a quota, and it's more about delivering balanced housing, market rate homes families can afford, and meaningful support for those who need it most. If we could go to the next slide, please. Ryan had discussed the fire zone that we're impacted by. This was released in April, and we've, I feel like we had substantially satisfied all comments up until then, and then we spent the time since then designing and trying to come up with every solution possible to enhance the aesthetics and to make this as safe as possible. So of those safety features and design features, I'll start with safety. We've included a 6-foot perimeter block wall around the whole site. all of the construction of the actual townhomes will be ignition resistant and ember resistant construction per CBC Chapter 7A. That is their fire construction standards. The site has a surplus of fire hydrants for easy access to water. It has 14 total hydrants for a little less than 8-acre site, which is pretty substantial. And as Ryan had discussed earlier, there is a defensible space plan with Zone 0 if no combustible materials within 5 feet of the building envelope, and irrigated lean fire-resistant plants between 5 and 30 feet from the building envelope. Additionally, when homeowners are purchasing these homes, they will be instructed in a resident fire life safety protection program as provided by our fire protection plan. So that'll be in CCNRs that they'll sign off on their education of that to maintain safety, of which will include obviously CCNRs agreements that the HOA will maintain and enforce with respect to parking outside of designated stalls and garages. To maintain the aesthetic without compromising safety, we've used steel and ceramic sculptures, fiberglass and terracotta pots, rock streams, paver walkways. We've tried to keep the maintenance of those as easy as possible while maintaining the aesthetic and curb appeal. Okay, next slide, please. The community benefits of this project is that Cypress Sands will become a net contributor to the city of Menifee. And of the benefits, I think most importantly is that it creates 132 new homeowner families to the area, and that'll grow stability and it grows the community in this area. There will be almost $1 million of Quimby fees as part of this project. 5.4 million roughly of development impact fees and traffic impact fees will be used for funding schools, police, fire, infrastructure, other public facilities. Of course, we have a full construction of Tioga Lane, which will connect a key mobility link there from Antelope to Chatham. And of course, Half Street with improvements on the remaining frontage roads. So between Quimby, Diff, and TIF, Cypress Sands contributes roughly $6 million to support the broader community. And Cypress Sands won't be a burden to the city. It funds itself and some. If you go to the next page, please. So that's Cypress Sands. It's a complete, compliant, and community-aligned project from attainable homeownership to fire-smart design, from infrastructure investment to balanced housing production. Cypress Sands aligns with Menifee's goals. We're grateful for the collaboration with the city staff, especially grateful for Ryan Fowler, his hard work on this project. And we look forward to working with the city and partnering with them as we bring this project to fruition. Thank you for your consideration tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Let me ask you before you go on, do you agree with the conditions of approval?
Yes.
12, thank you. Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Ivan?
Chair. I appreciate your presentation tonight. I think you've actually done a good job in the 0 zone. That's somewhat creative, and I think that actually is about as good as you can do in those areas, given the location in a very high fire hazard severity zone. I do have a concern. And my concern is, and I note that in your presentation is in fact on the title slide of your presentation, you had pictures of kids, and I would assume there'll be a lot of families with kids here. The only area that I see for recreation is right inside the main entry on the south, and I don't see any recreational amenities in there. There's a finding that relates to living here, and it's actually, it's a finding that we're being asked to make in the reso for the TTM and the plot plan about that the project wouldn't be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of persons residing there. With respect to the health and general welfare, I do have a concern because of the lack of recreational amenities. What I would like to ask is if you're agreeable to include play equipment in the lawn area space there and put a low fence around that. We looked at a similar project previously where the play area, well, not the play area, but the recreational area was very close to the entrance. And expressed some concerns and asked them to put a low fence around that. So I'm asking, would you be willing to include play equipment and a low fence around that lawn area in the southern center of the site?
Yes, we could add that to the conditions of approval. I think that.
I have the same exact concern.
Yeah,
So thank you.
I think the comment adds value to the site. I think you're right, it is lacking some play equipment and certainly safety features. I thought of this when I spoke with Ryan about it recently, that it would need to go to the northern section of the actual landscaped area, but we're perfectly happy to do so. I think it adds value.
I appreciate that. That actually helps me to be able to make a finding that I was struggling with previously. So I appreciate that, and that concludes my questions for the applicant.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you back.
Flame retardant fence and.
Yeah, it can be a metal wrought iron fence. I had the exact same concerns. I brought them up the last project. And I'm also thinking, my first question I had to you, and you already answered it, is who are these homes for? And you said starter, families, so I'm thinking families. Your front page of your presentation had 6 children on it. This is gonna be a place for kids. Young kids too, I'm looking at the 2 to 5 age where they're not going to school yet. Mom comes home from dropping the older kid off, gets her Starbucks or beyond if that's still on the table. But they go there, they go down and read a book or whatever at this little park. There's nothing for these kids to do. A 2-year-old, let them go, let them touch things, spin things. There could be some sort of, doesn't have to be big playground equipment, but it is a pocket park. Just pocket park side things for curious kids to flip and switch and climb. So that's I confer there with Mr. Holler that that's what I'd like to see.
Commissioner Thomas. Okay. I like that you put a product not like Legato. That's all we need was another. So I like it. It's good. Could you explain how the low income? It's low income, right? Not affordable. It's low income housing.
This is affordable housing, yes.
Oh, it's affordable.
Yes. It'll be deed restricted for 45 years because it's for sale. If it were rental, it'll be 55.
But it will be market rate, right? The sale.
Well, 126 will be market rate.
No, the affordable houses, the 20%, those are not.
So the whole project is
But you
market
said
rate
the whole
with the exception of-
126.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
market rate.
So you have different processes to help the buyer, right, for affordable housing? That's how it works? And
Right.
then they have to stay there, you said the amount of time that.
Right, or it has to it always has to be a income restricted home. So they can choose to sell it. They have their own sort of rules, obligations that they have to adhere to, but it will always be for at least 45 years low income.
So is there a big demand for those homes? I would
Yes,
think,
there's a waiting list in the county.
I figured there would be, but, so they work, okay.
Yes.
That's my question.
this product, do you think it's gonna be one of those, they'll sell out instantly in lines, or do you think it's gonna take, some of these projects, a lot of homes, it could take them 2, 3, 4 years to sell out the houses. What is your projection on that?
I suspect that it would not sell faster than about 8 homes per month, maybe 10 homes per month. I think that given the waiting list for the income restricted units, those will probably be sold faster. But the market rate side will likely just match the market with sales pace and velocity.
Any other questions, commissioners? Good job. Thank you very much. Good presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Does the commissioners, do you have any other questions? The applicant? No? Okay. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak, or would anyone in the audience like to speak
I have no requests to speak.
or make a comment? Okay. All right. Then I will close the public hearing at 7:09. Does the commissioners, do you have any other comments or discussion? Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, good thing I like is that instead of using it as an emergency exit, we have 2 exits. And I just wanted to be out there for staff and for anyone watching, developers, because a lot of these projects, they like to close off an emergency exit so they can get another lot in there. To me, that's a fire problem in the future if we have coming through.
It is.
So I am just much happier with the secondary exit that is an actual exit. The downside I'm concerned about, and I don't know if there's anything can be done about it, is because of the fire zone and the zone 0, this looks like a downtown when you drive through it. Right. It's very sterile. You're looking at 2 stories up. They've tried to, do the different elevations and the different colors, but it's just very sterile. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not sure there's anything can be done with it. Third thing is I went and visited a project like this in Temecula, which was actually a multifamily, but it had the same structure, the private streets, they're only 20, 25 feet, all that. I drove my truck in there to get some furniture for someone, and it was all red striped. And so I had to park in a special spot. Because of the fire concern, because of the if someone does park in there, these fire units aren't going to get through. I'm wondering if we should require the curb red on these. Now, having said that, I would hate to live in a curb red area, right? So maybe we can accomplish this through extra signage or something. Because if we're going to be dependent on the HOA doing it, it's going to depend on Karens going around and doing it. So I don't know what the commission's thought is on that.
You can't say Karen.
Okay, Linda, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
You just made it worse, dude.
Okay.
Well, Sonia mentioned signage.
Don't say Sony
Yeah. So
they've
maybe,
Why can't it be Brad?
I don't know what, okay, I'll ask the fire gentlewoman this question, because I know like in housing tracts and in shopping centers, you do drive-throughs, right? You test all of that. I see you guys doing that all the time. Mm-hmm. Do you have any experience with these small private streets doing drive-throughs that you have found they're actually parking in there, and they are thus stopping your clear drive-through in your test?
So yes, they do go through developments and they do test that, going in and out, maneuvering. Our guidelines are based on just that and how we came to those requirements for access through radiuses by maneuvering through different various scenarios. And then that's how we are basing our requirements on just those like facts that you just discussed that we've done.
So I understand the theoretical, right? It's on a map, and theories, there's no cars there, your drive-through works. But in practice, have you driven through these type of developments and there's actually were cars parking and thus it impeded your drive-through? What has your practical experience been on these?
So for like if a car is parked there, maneuvering in and out, it has been, we might send a squad in if we can't get the engine through, right? Okay. Or there's different pieces of apparatuses and sizes that could go in different scenarios where there might be a car blocked, might send the patrol in, might send a squad, the engine might be able to go through. So it still can.
So your experience is it does happen. People park anyway.
At times, yes.
At times.
And you did mention either the red curbing or
The signage.
signages, right? So our requirements for those red curbs or signage would be that those signs are placed every 50 feet, is our standard. And so that signage could be in lieu of everything being red,
Yeah.
out on the streets, right? Who wants to go through and it's all red, it kind of looks like an
Kinda-
industrial.
It's already industrial
part.
enough as it
Right.
is.
So, you could do that
No
in lieu
offense.
of
No
the
offense.
red, curbing. We would allow for signage.
Signage. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks. I'm just thinking aesthetically, how to accomplish the safety factor and the enforcement without ruining their lives looking at red all the time.
So what comes to my mind is signs work because think about trash day. I mean, street sweeper day. People know, one person you get a ticket once, you know, if a street sweeper's coming every other Tuesday,
Yeah.
and my car's out there before noon. So I think that would work.
How does that work, council? If, since these are private streets, someone parks their car, they're there 5 hours, right? Since it's a private street, can a policeman come in and ticket it, or is it an HOA ticket?
It would typically be an HOA ticket. So essentially, you know, our CCNRs require HOAs to comply. At first, it will be the developer if, you know, before an HOA is formed. And, you know, there are consequences for not complying with the requirements of the conditions of approval or the CCNRs. Typically, good HOAs, which the city will, you know, help to oversee in some cases, will make sure to fine people for blocking those driveways because often with, you know, in the HOAs have to be responsible, right, for the shared areas. And so if there are any type of, you know, damages or things like that, they might be responsible too for being negligent, for example, if not fining or ensuring that their residents are in compliance. And obviously, you know, in some cases, police will respond and things like that if there are emergencies.
So my thought on this is the signage. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks.
I don't have a problem with a red curb too. I mean, I can envision a number of scenarios where someone's gonna park there. I'll give you one. People moving in and out, right?
Yeah,
So they're gonna park
yeah.
a moving van there. They're not gonna go 400 feet away and park in one of the striped stalls that a moving van's not gonna get into anyway. That's gonna be there for a while. If you happen to get a call and have to run a call during that period of time, that could present a challenge. So I think adequate signage and red curb, I would do it all. I mean, it's really gonna come down to the HOA to do the enforcement, and we're asking an HOA to do enforcement.
So Sonia, why didn't you require a red curb?
It is in the condition for curbing. It would give an option of either or, the red curbing or signage. And that would come at a later point when we do ask for our fire lane exhibit, and it would indicate what their choice was. It is also maintenance, right? You know, painting it however long, every year, every 6
Peels,
months.
it fades, it
Correct.
looks gross.
And so then they might just decide on signage where, you know, again, signage through years will deteriorate and then maintenance of that, but that might be a better option. But we did give them both option on the conditions.
All right, thank you. So city attorney, what if some of us want to vote for it with a red curb and some of us don't?
Well, it could depend on your motion. There's a couple things you can do. First, you can discuss among yourselves to see if one option or the other is better or both. That's up to you. Or you can, whoever makes a motion receives a second with whatever condition is that you want to require. And if that gets the votes, if not, then it passes. If not, then someone else might make a motion.
Okay, we'll talk among ourselves.
So the last item is, just for the record, it's too crowded. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm gonna vote against it. I know the reason there's as many is because the density bonus, the state has taken that out of our hands, which you've all seen my rantings on that. I think this is exactly why the state should not be doing that, but, there's not much we can do about it.
So what you're saying, Commissioner, is we wouldn't have voted for this project with this amount of houses unless we were mandatorily.
If I had my wish on this, they would be further setback from the street. They would have landscaping. There would be less of a city feel. The developer's doing what is legally allowed.
Yes.
Is there, I mean, it seems he's done everything that staff has asked.
Right.
Our hands are tied. So.
It's a change of zoning too. Density wise.
No, it's the,
It goes 8 to 14 to 16.
well, the 16's because of the density bonus.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the state.
If it wasn't for the state, yeah.
Which kudos to you for taking advantage of the mandate, but we're just making a statement so people understand that we're not density happy, you know,
So
whatever.
just,
we don't
just so
prove
my,
everything.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just so my colleagues know, it's not a hill for me to die on the red curb or the
Yeah.
signage. One or the other, I mean, I'd like both, but I don't want to die on that hill. What I do want to make sure is incorporated into the project conditions is the addition of play equipment in that area and low fencing around that.
Yeah,
That I
I
do
would
want.
support
And,
that.
and for whomever makes the motion, ultimately, hopefully we can add that in.
Support that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Michael, what do you prefer on the curb signage or red curb?
I don't have a preference. We have big trucks, we have a Bearcat, we can move cars. If there's a problem, it's not gonna stop the fire department. Police are gonna get that same 911 call.
So signs are good for you.
Signs, it can even be, part of the CCNRs.
Nick has something to say, so let's hear what he says.
Chair, Commissioners, can I offer a suggestion? I'd let us work through that in final engineering. If you noticed, the fire marshal indicated signs every 50 feet. That would be a significant amount of signs throughout that community to install. So maybe a combination of red curbs and signing would be appropriate
Good call.
throughout the community, because nothing more than having too many signs throughout the community. That'd be like one in front of every other house.
I like that suggestion. And if I could just add, seconds matter. So if they have to move a car,
Yeah, I know.
seconds matter, especially if
With the
you're,
paint, I would recommend on the radiuses for sure.
if you're running EMS with that, seconds matter. So I like that suggestion.
Good, me too. Okay. So therefore, guys ready to move ahead? Okay. So there are two recommended actions for the commission's consideration: to adopt a resolution adopting an ISMND and direct staff to file a notice of determination, and adopt a resolution approving tentative tract map number 49364, PLN 240136, and plot plan PLN 240137, and to add the tot lot equipment and a low fence around the existing park. And any other additions to that? We got it covered? Okay.
And could I mention one more thing? The condition changes in the memo as well related to the two biological resources, the crushed bumblebee and the burrowing owl.
Thank you.
What was that change?
It was for pre-construction surveys. That was based on that letter we received from CDFW.
Right. I was getting there. I didn't know how to word it, so thank you for doing that.
And the bumblebee survey can't be done until April, is that right?
The bumblebee season. Yeah.
Because they're underground currently.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question before we approve this? So based on those surveys, if they find something, are they gonna have to buy mitigation land or something?
Yeah.
No, there is a requirement already in the conditions that they have to get permits through CalFish and Wildlife for, there is a small amount of acreage of permitted, or waters of the state that they will have to get into a mitigation bank for. But for these particular, the burrowing owl and the crotch bumblebee, there is some kind of what-if scenarios in the conditions that are spelled out. I do not believe they require,
The mitigation ratios are left open-ended in the letter from CDFW.
Okay, so if you guys vote, please. Yes. Okay. So, did we all vote? Okay. It passes. So, staff's recommendation approved. Thank you very much. Good job. Very much. Thanks for coming. Okay, it's a wrap. Let's go on to number 10, the discussion items. Are there, there are no discussion items, unless someone thinks of one. Okay, number 11, Community Development Director comments, my favorite. Community Development Director, do you have any updates?
I
comments?
have one comment. I just would like to remind the commission that next week on Thursday, we are having our annual home builder luncheon. So I believe there may be one or two of you that haven't confirmed. So we would need you to confirm if you are attending. So outside of that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Director. So Commissioner reports on committee activities. Michael?
I got a long one this time.
Yeah.
My back is healed, and so I've been doing more stuff.
Okay.
On the 23rd, I attended the Menifee Education Summit. On the 28th, this is going back to October, I attended a Red Cross blood drive over at Fairfield. I don't know who sponsored that. I'm only mentioning this because of Commissioner Sanchez with the PRTC mentioned that he went to the Los Angeles Dodgers parade Monday after the series. Well, on the 29th, I attended Game 5 of that World Series, so we got a little bump up from the PRTC on commission activities. And on the drive home, we did mention a lot of Planning Commission. Many names were mentioned on this commission and staff, so it counts.
Was those names in positivity or other types of discussions?
There was no negative.
Okay.
Nothing negative. On the 3rd of November, I attended the intramural flag football game between Bell Mountain and Catherine Newport middle schools over at the college. That was pretty cool. On 11/5, I attended the Boulders ribbon cutting ceremony. On the 7th, I attended the State of the City. On the 8th, I attended the Empowering Abilities Resource Fair. That evening, I attended the Zimmerman Chili Cook-Off. I saw you there. I didn't get to say hello, but I saw you there.
Does that qualify?
It qualifies.
All right.
We talk shop with Carwin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's true.
And he's going to mention it next Wednesday. Yesterday, I attended the Veterans Day ceremony, and just coming this Saturday is the quarterly bulk item drop-off event over at the SCCA. Just thought I'd mention that. Thank you.
So what do you do in your free time?
I didn't have work this last.
I had the pleasure of going to 2 of those, so I saw Michael at the chili cook-off and at the State of the City, which went very well. It's pretty proud of our city.
And I attended the State of the City.
Okay. Planner Commissioners, requests for any future agenda items.
I got one.
Okay.
This will take up no staff time, and you can do this for me in the next 30 seconds. Can we adjourn this meeting in the honor of and memory of Betty Burris? Commissioner?
Yes,
Chair.
yes,
I support that.
of course. So how do we commemorate her? In thought? Okay, we adjourn the meeting in honor of Betty. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Make sure you're here Sonia, make sure you're here next meeting.